Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Backchat. I'm Amy, this is my partner Maggie.
Hello.
Together we are ThinkerThemer, and this is our series Backchat where we talk about our most exciting crowdfunded campaigns for the last 2 weeks. Normally we do our top 10. It's been a slow fortnight.
Yeah.
For us and our personal game taste. So in this episode we're going to cover off our top 5, and we'll put timestamps below if you want to jump ahead to that, because we thought in this episode we'd do a little special segment because we've been overseas for a month.
We've been gone for a bit of a while.
A little bit of a while, which has meant that our post office box got filled up with packages of campaigns past that have been delivered.
Yeah, the post office is not very fond of us at the moment. It's like,
they do know us well.
Yeah.
And so we thought we'd share with you some of the contents of those packages. We haven't played any of them.
No, everything's still in shrink.
Still in shrink, but we'll at least talk through them. So why don't we kick off with that?
All right. So should I start?
Yeah.
So I've got here Ghost of Christmas. Now, this is a trick-taking game, which I'm quite excited about because look at this beautiful little, well, there's not going to be a lot of detail in this one, but the premium or the Luxified components look super cute. Oh, you're just seeing the silica bag. But it's just like the little wooden components and the wooden hat. I think they're going to be quite a cute little addition to this.
We've been getting more and more into trick-taking games, and in Ghosts of Christmas, it takes place over 3 different time periods, so the past, present, and future. And what's really interesting about the game is you can play cards into each of those, times.
Yes.
Each of those times. And also that the lead trick changes, the lead suit, changes depending on who won the previous trick, which is really interesting because what happens in the past influences the tricks of the future.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to play that game. It was part of a 3 game campaign.
Yeah.
My words are not coming to me today. The other one that we also purchased is Bear Raid. And so Bear Raid is a share market game.
All of the other wooden components or extra components.
Of course, we bought the deluxe components to go with it. But this is a share market game, and that's pretty much all I can remember about it.
Yeah, you're
because
kind of
it
manipulating.
was so long ago.
Yeah, you're manipulating the market and trying to kind of predict, and there's a lot of chaos. Both these games are a minimum 3-player count, so that's going to be one of the considerations. Like, it's not something that we can just play the 2 of us.
So they'll have to wait till we have some
hopefully won't be
friends
in
around.
shrink for too long. But yeah, it's not something that's going to get played straight away.
Here's another parcel. So this one's actually delivered really quickly. So a recent episode of Backchat, we talked about this game rack and tower. So this is coming out of Korea, and it's 3 small box games that are centered around this modular accessory, exactly, that can act as a game rack for cards or as a dice tray or a dice tower. It's kind of interesting that it's in. Also, I kind of expected this part to be in a bigger box, so I was quite surprised at the size of that.
Portable.
It's very small, and it's the same size as the games and the games that we bought with it. Ada's Library, which from memory is a bit more of an abstract game. Minnow Dice, and also.
Oh, that's the
Dragon Stripes.
Yeah, where you've got the crystals and you're kind of
and this is a push your luck game where you're trying
to
to not wake up the dragon from memory. You're trying to sneak in as many crystals as you can get.
So these are all pretty cute. So I'm
really cute.
Quite looking forward to checking these out.
The artwork's really cute, and just delivered so quickly.
Another 3 to 6 players. We're gonna have to bring someone in.
We're gonna have to start some gaming days. Another one that came in, which is really first of all, let's talk about Explore and Draw, which is the roll and write version of the Isle of Cats. The Isle of Cats takes pride of place in our collection just here. It's a game that we really enjoy, and this is the roll and write version, and it's been getting amazing reviews, and so I'm super excited. I'm definitely this is going to be at the top of the pile, one that I really want to get into, and roll and writes are good at any player count, so I'm excited for us to play that together. So Explore and Draw, but with that came, can you please hold that, Maggie?
The massive,
of course,
massive box.
the
your back out.
big box. So this big box is the 2-minute box that allows you to set up the game in 2 minutes. So it has a wooden insert inside, and it also comes with the expansion for the game, which is Don't forget the kittens.
Yeah.
So really excited to get this to the table. Also includes a whole heap of new stuff, including new boats as well, which I'm really excited about, because obviously that is a polyomino tile game where the boats create the puzzle. So I'm excited to check that out. And another game that came in as well is a game from quite a while ago called Cheetah Stato.
Cheetah Stato?
Not sure how to pronounce that. But this one was honestly purchased off the back of a very positive Rado review. And Rado has cost me a lot of money over the years, because when he gets really excited about something, I can't help but also get excited about it. This looks like a classic Euro resource management style game.
Potentially quite dry. Oh yeah, very dry looking.
That looks real dry.
Yeah,
and we love a good dry Euro, so I'm excited to get into that.
See
and interestingly, it's only a 60-minute game, so that shouldn't be too hard for us to get to the table.
And it plays from 1 to 4, so it has a solo mode. I'll have to check that out.
So
it's exciting.
Stay tuned. And the last one that I wanted to showcase today is
one game related.
That is not a game
exciting.
At all. I believe I covered this as part of Kickstarter Diaries, which, if you've just tuned into the channel recently, it was the old series that I started by myself, which was me talking about what I was backing before Maggie joined and we started Backchat.
Yes.
And one of the campaigns that I spoke about was this campaign called Tiny Tree Houses, and these are intricate treehouse designs that are made out of wood, and they take between 2 and 4 hours to put together. And then once you've put them together, they have lights that go inside them, and they've got a little spike, and the spike allows them to be put into pot plants. And I just, at the time, I've been getting, at this time, I was very much into miniatures. I still want to get back into that this winter. I really am looking forward to building these. I really like small versions of things.
You love mini things. You love miniature versions of anything.
I do.
That is the way to your heart.
It really is. And if those and I also like crossovers.
Yes. So, like, for example, one of the things that Amy loves, she's got this lemon fish. So it's a fish, and it's just like a little, it's a doodad, really. It's just like a little doodad. Doesn't do anything. It's literally just like a little fish, but it's also a lemon. And Amy just lost it when she saw it.
I love that fish.
I need to have that. Yeah.
Well, we saw it, and then we left, and then I had to go back and get it because I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I don't know. That's a very odd revelation about me.
What does that say about you?
I don't know.
You love hybrid things.
I don't know. I also just love cute things.
I'm a half, so I'm a mix. I'm a
so am
hybrid.
I.
Well, there you go. Mystery solved.
But I do love anything like kind of cute, and I really love small scale things. Small scale things that are normally big things.
Yeah.
When you're a kid and you had the small supermarkets.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
the little checkout, and then all the small version of products.
And you still love that, like the mini meals where it's like a full meal, but it's all miniature. Or like
I love
mini
those.
Sushi, mini everything.
So great, great. And this is why I'm still a collector, and we have way too much stuff in our house. So
but this will be fun. This will be nice and relaxing for those winter months come.
It will.
And, we're back indoors.
Yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed seeing a sneak peek of maybe what's to come on the channel, but also this is only a fraction of what arrives, so we'll be sharing some more with you as we open up the boxes.
Seems like there's a lot of stuff for us to play and cover and do videos and stuff.
We are also getting close to being able to put all of our games up into a single location on a shelf, which means 2 things. 1, we'll probably be able to give you a tour of our collection.
Yes,
finally, because they're out of cupboards.
Yes.
And 2, we have some serious culling to do because the shelf space we have does not match the number of games that are in cupboards. So
this is the wake-up call. If you can't fit this new made-for-purpose shelving then it has
It's
to go.
got to go. It's got to go.
Yeah.
And actually being able to see things and pulling them out of cupboards has been like, wow, I forgot I had that game and I love that game. So it's a good opportunity to revisit some games we love, because lately it's just been put it over there wherever it will fit, and we'll come back to it. Or will we? Because if we can find it. So let's get into our ranking for this week's Back Chat.
So our number 5 is a game called Mole Peak. Now, Mole Peak is actually a standalone sequel to Skull Hollow, which we haven't actually played, probably because it's an asymmetric tactic kind of combat game. It is usually not our style, but Mole Peak is very similar, and it's actually compatible, like backwards compatible with Skull Hollow. But what you're doing is one person is playing as a group of bears, the other person is playing as this giant guardian, and so you're essentially trying to take each other down. So the bears are going to be able to not just like explore and do different things, but you're also going to be climbing the giant and trying to kind of attack different places to essentially disable some of the actions that they can do. And then as the giant, obviously you're going to be defending yourself, but trying to like get rid of the bears or trap them in different areas. So overall, it's a fairly, again, it's like player versus player. You're trying to kind of move around. The components are super cute. That's probably
really cute.
Yeah, that's probably the element that I like the most. It's not the type of game in general that I kind of gravitate towards.
No, I really enjoyed the artwork as well, and it really drew me in. In fact, we did see a prototype, or maybe it was the final version of it at Gamma, and it definitely, I saw it from across the room. I was like, I want to go check that out. But in terms of like both the mechanics and the theme don't really speak to me. I'm not sure why though. It's just not
it's the genre. We're not
that genre. And
yeah.
like using powers and trying to and the asymmetry. I don't know. It just doesn't speak to me. But I can totally see why this would be great if you were into that style of game and looking for a 2-player, more adventure style game. The other component about this is the price. The game itself is $45 US, which is certainly reasonable. It's around $60 Australian. But then on top of that is a $38 Australian postage fee to Australia. And, you know, when you add that together, that's a $100 game, and it's just a 2-player experience. We have to be really careful about what we're backing. We are being more fiscally responsible this year. So if you are in Australia, that is something to consider, that you might be able to pick this up at retail at a later time. But if you're really excited about this game, go and check it out.
Apparently it does actually expand it to a 3 or 4 player game if you're able to kind of mix it with Skull Hollow as well. So if you enjoy the original, like if you enjoy Skull Hollow, then this seems like a no-brainer.
And if you do that world, if you do enjoy Skull Hollow, mention it in the comments. Tell us, what do you love about that game, because I'd love to hear what makes it super unique.
So that's our number 5, Mole Peak.
Our number 4 is a game called Game Stormers, and this has got to be one of the most unique themes.
It's pretty cool.
That we've seen, in recent times.
Yeah, so in this game, you're actually trying to design different, like a game, and trying to pitch
a board game.
Yeah, so trying to pitch for the best game concept. And so you're all playing as individual game designers, and the things that you're going to be leveraging is you're actually going to be building a tableau, which will be the game essentially that you're designing. And there's going to be a combination of you selecting, what's the narrative world that you're going to be setting the game in, and what are the mechanisms that you're going to be using. And then there's a couple of items as well. So interestingly, as you construct that, which can be quite creative, then you're actually going to be pitching that game at the end for votes. So the players will be able to kind of vote on which game they feel is the best pitch or the best creation overall. However, and that's probably the bit that's I'm less excited about, because I don't tend to enjoy the storytelling, the pitching, that sort of stuff. But it does have this other way of victory, which is the cards that you're playing to create that tableau. They all have victory points attached to them, and they also have different synergies that will increase those points or make things a bit better. So that's another way. So apparently there's 2 different ways of winning. The artwork is really beautiful. I believe there's even like a separate book of just with the artwork. So I'm really I find that really appealing, and really kind of it attracts me to the game. The narrative element is where it loses me a bit, but I kind of get the sense that it's not the majority of the game. It's just sort of like one component, and it's not relying on just that. Like, you have alternatives to it.
How could we not like a game that involves bringing together the thinker and the themer elements in a game? I mean,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I really love the concept of the game. I wonder about the accessibility of the theme for non-gamers.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of in terms of how appealing it's going to be as a concept. Like in terms of the accessibility of the game,
in terms of it being easy or not, it looks fairly simple.
And it also like very kid friendly as well.
But I mean, in terms of being able to
concept,
will it resonate with people? Because if you're not familiar with that dichotomy of theme and mechanics, or if you're not really familiar with different mechanics in different games, how well are you going to be able to pitch a game idea? This is a gamer's game for me. I really feel like the heartland of this is for, people who are quite in the hobby.
But also it's quite light.
But also it's quite light. So interesting space that it's playing in. The game itself is actually quite affordable. I believe it's only $35 US. However, and this is going to be a common theme always, $50 US shipping to Australia, which is more than the game and more that I would be willing to spend to try this game out, unfortunately. So I hope I get to try this out one day, maybe at a con, or maybe if it comes to retail. But for the moment, we're not backing it. But if it sounds like a game that would be for you and your table, go and check it out. That is our number 4
Game Stormers. Our number 3 is a game called Age of Rome, and in Age of Rome, this has taken place right after the death of Caesar, where he has been stabbed and betrayed by all these different conspirators, and so now we're looking to be who's going to be the next emperor or empress to take charge of Rome.
And to do that, you are going to be in a very, very classic Euro-style game. In fact, this game has all of the things that we tend to enjoy in games. It's a point salad to begin with. There are multiple ways that you can get victory points in this game. You can collect cards in set collection. There's an area control component. There's worker placement. You can help build the cathedral for points if that's what you want to do. And you don't need to do all of those things. You can kind of pick your path, and we tend to really enjoy that.
I love pick your own strategy avenue.
Yeah, there's also public events that impact everybody every round. I love that. I still love that. I just really enjoy everybody facing something together, even though I don't like cooperative games, but I want everyone to have this. I like the newness of that in a new round of the game, like something that I didn't consider before, and now I need to adjust my strategy slightly. Yeah, I really love that. And then also you've got private objectives, things that you want to get done, and we love that in games as well. And then the whole board, I'm kind of burying the lead here, because the whole board in the center rotates. And so you need to also consider that the position of certain things in the games and buildings are going to rotate, which changes your ability to access them. And so that is another key element of this game. And the buildings themselves, throughout the game, you're going to be constructing and adding to buildings that exist on the board, and they are clear acrylic tiles.
That is, I think, the thing that I find most appealing is just how, like, visually how, like, what that looks like, and then how it kind of comes together.
Because when they stack together, the icons in the building, you can obviously see through the clear acrylic, which means that they layer up to be more complex buildings as the game goes on. I really love that as a concept. Also, the player boards are beautiful dual layer player boards. I'm looking forward to seeing what the stretch goals are. At the moment, there are 3 male characters, 1 female character. They are announcing more characters. I hope that some of those bring more gender diversity into the game. The rulebook, I read through the rulebook and I was really impressed by the iconography. It was super clear. The rulebook has definitely had a lot of thought put into it, because it was I was very impressed by just my ability to very quickly scan through the rulebook and get a good sense for the game. So I really am looking forward to playing this game. At the moment, the one concern I have is that I did see a review by Alex on Board Game Co, who said that he felt it was Gateway Plus, which means that probably it could be quite a simple game and
on the lighter side.
On the lighter side of things. And we do have gamers in our lives that are in that Gateway Plus zone, but for our personal preferences, we tend to like a heavier game. So there's a little bit of thinking about whether we're going to back it or not at
probably
this
sort
point.
of like the time and the timing at the moment where it's like, well, we've got all these other games that might fill that spot, and we're also trying to kind of be careful with our spending.
That's right.
But
And
in the absence of those, it would have been potentially something that, we would have gone ahead with. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get a chance to play it somewhere, and
Yeah, and also the cost, it's not cheap. So this game is, there's two different versions of the game. For the base game, it's $100 Australian. For if you want to go for the deluxe version, it's $145 Australian plus postage, which is around $35 Australian. So now you're getting up there into a really expensive game. But then when this is where I always get stuck. It's like, oh, just back the cheaper version, and then you go in and you're like, but if I'm going to pay the postage anyway and it's the same, I should get the deluxe edition, which then includes metal coins. It includes a better tray system for setting up the game as well, and sleeves for your cards as well.
Right.
So it is a tempting upgrade, but then you're looking at almost a $200 game.
Yeah.
So this is the conundrum of Kickstarter,
Yeah.
and making these choices between these wonderful games. So what a terrible problem to have. But at the moment we haven't backed it, but that is our number 3, Age of Rome. Our number 2 is a game called Silicon Valley, and this is by Grail Games, an Australian publisher based in Sydney, and also a designer that we really like, Scott Elms, who is responsible for Almanac and the Tiny Epic series. And this game takes place in Silicon Valley, and you're going to be entrepreneurs who have startup companies, and you're competing to be the first one to reach that almighty $1 billion valuation.
Yes.
And the way that you're going to be doing that is very thematically working through all the management issues of having a small startup. So you are going to be hiring employees, and employees cost money. And employees, interestingly, when you hire them, they're going to be bringing with them code. So code in terms of a computer code, but in the game it is polyomino tiles. So polyomino tiles and code are the same thing, mechanically and thematically. So they're going to be you're going to be recruiting employees who bring polyomino tiles with them. Interestingly, they cost between $5 and $9, but you can also poach employees from other players at the cost of $15, which thematically,
so like incentivize them, or kind of steal them away with money,
waving a higher salary at them to bring them over to your company, which is potentially an aggressive component of this game, because there's nothing you can do about it.
Very true to life.
It's very true to life. And so then what you're doing with those pieces of code is you're going to be developing technologies, and technology cards are polyomino tile puzzle patterns. And so you're going to want to collect the right code to fill in these patterns, and then you're either going to be the first person to design this technology, which makes you the innovator.
First mover advantage,
or you're going to be the next person, which is the second mover. And interestingly, they differ in terms of the benefits that they give you. So the innovator is going to get better ongoing benefits throughout the game. So if you are able to create this technology, it's going to be more powerful throughout the game to have that first mover advantage. But if you're a second mover, you're going to get a greater immediate benefit because you've learned from the mistakes of the innovator.
Another very true to life element.
So you'll get a better immediate benefit, but a less powerful ongoing benefit. So I really like if you read through the rule book of this game, it is extremely well thought out in terms of theme. And I read the rule book, but I know Maggie would really enjoy it because it explains the reason behind all of the mechanics, which is super, super cool. The other thing is that you also need to get, of course, funding, because you're trying to get
capital.
You're trying to get valuated as $1 billion company, and to do that, that's going to cost you code or polyomino tiles. So you can spend it, and thematically that is doing a demo for a venture capitalist. And if you do that, you're going to increase and improve the value of your company. And then there's lots of other parts of the game.
There's so many different elements, and there's even like the solo mode. I love thematically how it's like you and your co-founder, have split ways, and now you're kind of trying to race one another and be like, so that's the AI that you're competing against is that estranged
your ex-business partner.
Your estranged business partner. So I enjoy that. This is something that like I work with startups, so this is very near and dear to my heart, even to the point where at one point with one of the startups that I work with, we actually were looking, and this is like years ago, we were looking at designing exactly like this
A board game with this theme.
Yeah, with this theme. And then
Very loosely.
Well, the theme, but again, it's like all these
yes,
elements were there because that's like those are the elements of the startup life and startup world. So I'm glad that obviously that went nowhere because, you know, we got busy running actual startups. But I'm glad that the game actually got designed because now we get to just play it.
One other thematic thing that you would like as well is as the valuation for your company goes up, employees demand more salary because they want to be a part of that success.
Oh, yeah.
And so your operating costs go up and up in the game as well as you get valued higher and higher.
Yeah.
Now, you can see that we are quite animated about this game, and it is actually quite cheap if you're willing to forego a couple of components that I believe would actually make a difference in the deluxeification of the game. So I believe it's $38 is $39 is the base cost Australian dollars, which is a very cheap entry point for a board game.
Yeah.
But it means all the polyomino tiles are cardboard and all the coins are cardboard as well. If you are willing to upgrade to $68, then you're getting plastic polyomino tiles and metal coins. So it's a big jump, $39 to $68, but for the extra $30, you're probably getting $30 worth of extra components, and those components are going to make a difference. I have to say, I'm not sure I love the graphic design of the game itself. I wish that had, I loved reading the rule book, and I feel like we would connect with the theme and the mechanics. But in terms of the look and feel of it, I wish it was a little bit more elevated. There was something that just wasn't drawing me in about it. But it seems like it would be a really fun game, and Scott Elms is a great designer.
The gameplay should be quite good.
Yeah.
I think for me also partly it's like working in that space, going, I don't know if I like thematically, if I love playing games that take place in the space that I work in.
You like
if that
Clinic.
makes sense. I appreciated Clinic because I understood all the background of it. But again, it's like usually like medical themed stuff is not what I tend to. Again, it's like it's almost like, oh, it kind of reminds me a bit of work. I don't. yeah. So I think that's partly kind of playing into my score not being as high as it could be potentially.
Yeah, so this one we haven't backed, but it's certainly on our radar, and a game that I would love to try.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we might wait till it hits retail since it's here in Australia, and hopefully we will see it in stores here. But that is our number 2, Silicon Valley.
And our number 1 is Maglev Metro Expansion 1 Maps. So Maglev Metro was actually one of the games that we really, really enjoyed of 2021.
Love that game.
Yes, so it's, is it magnetic levitation? So and usually train, pick up and deliver doesn't tend to be our thing. But this game actually is quite fun, quite engaging. You're kind of building your little engine. You're optimizing, how many passengers you can pick up and what stations the type of passengers that you can pick up based on the different stations. So there's a lot going on, but we've managed to we've actually played it quite a bit.
We've played it quite a lot, and the main thing that I love about it is the engine building element of the player board. So as you're picking up and dropping off passengers, the passengers unlock new abilities on your player board, and that means that your train becomes more powerful over time. You can get more done, and the game just has this beautiful progression. And of course I love the acrylic tiles where they are transparent and they stack on top of each other so you can see everybody's train lines. It is a wonderful game. However, we have played it so much that we have almost played it out a little bit.
Yeah, it gets to a point where it's like, well, now it just feels like, sort of rinse and repeat. So it's really good to have now new maps
is
and
why
new ways of playing the game, and
this is getting
expanding the content.
A 9 from both of us because we are super excited about this expansion. And I should caveat that with the fact that we haven't been backing a lot of expansions lately. It's one area in our gaming collection that doesn't get as played very often. Is by the time we get back to the base game, there's no time for expansions, and expansions just sit there kind of getting dusty. But in this game we do love it so much, and a lot of our friends we've introduced it to love it as well. And I really like the way they're going about these expansions, because these expansions are 6 new boards for the game. And each board, just like in the base game, is reversible to have a different game board printed on the back. And in this case, there are 3 pairs of boards. So the first that I want to talk about, I'm going to have to refer to my notes, so I'll forget them. Mechs and monorails is the first pairing. In mechs, it introduces a new mech or AI that's going to take over some of the systems in your robots universe. And they take up multiple robot spaces on your board. So instead of having 3 robots, you would just have 1 mech. And they unlock these really powerful abilities, like being able to deliver passengers to the other side of the board without having to be there.
Yeah. Handy.
The other, on the reverse side of that, is monorails. Monorails is one that I really like thematically because it takes place in a theme park. But the interesting thing about monorails is that you have VIPs now that you want to deliver, and they can be delivered to any of the stations. And also in monorails, you have the ability to hitch a ride with your opponent's train. So instead of waiting for your turn to be able to move, when there's a kind of a follow action where you are going to be able to move your train along with someone else. So that looks really cool as well. Then there are 2 space-themed boards, which, of course, if you watch our channel, you'll know that space is probably our least favorite thing. One of our least favorite things. But it's moon bases and Mars. Now, in moon bases, it's going to introduce half hex tiles. So normally they're full hex tiles. This is half hex tiles that act as your base. And these bases, my understanding is they generate passengers even if you're not there. And only you can access those passages, which is a great advantage. But also in Moonbase, the gravity is so much lower on the moon that your train is going to move much faster, up to 4 times faster. So you'll be zipping around and getting lots of things done on that board. Then with Mars, you're going to have to launch your passengers to go to other planets to do drop-off. So that's one part of it. But also Mars is a much harder build. So because the surface of Mars is treacherous, it's going to be much harder to it's going to be much harder to build out your track. So there are more expensive parts of the track that you're going to have to navigate through. And the final set of maps is London, and on the other side is Paris. And for me, this is the one I'm probably most excited about thematically. So it's just adding 2 new cities. London, let's go, or you no longer have to unlock different types of passengers on your board before you can drop them off. But now you have to unlock different parts of the board before you can go there. So it adds a different dynamic. Whereas with Paris has a historical element to it because it's introducing strikes. So we're going to have strikes that occur. That means certain stations are going to be shut down.
Disrupt the flow of things.
Which means you will no longer be able to drop off passengers there. And this is on a strike timer board. So you can plan in advance when and where those strikes are going to happen, which I'm sure was not the case historically.
Well, you do know like the times that specific strikes, they do often know a little bit about.
I'm sure not as far in advance as they probably weren't able to plan as well as we are able to plan. But the interesting thing about this board, I think, is that you can get these little tokens. I've forgotten what they're called now. They're called strike breakers, which means that you don't suffer that penalty and you can still access those stations. But if you collect these strike breakers, they're going to be worth negative victory points at the end of the game. So it's kind of like that benefit versus the negative points. Is it going to be worth it in the end? Interesting dynamic.
We saw all these maps actually as part of when we were at Gamma. So they had them displayed and they look beautiful. That was the first thing that caught my eye. So I'm really excited aesthetically for what this is going to introduce, as well as all the gameplay, new experiences.
It's going to add a bit more variation to the game, which I'm excited about. The way that the campaign works is you can back one pair of maps for $30 or you can back all of the maps for $80. So you can see that if you back all of them, you're getting a small discount. But they also come in one single box if you get all of them. The other great thing about getting all of them, as if you need any more convincing, is that you'll get a set of meeples that are screen printed to go with your base copy of the game.
Yeah.
And if you know, one of our niggles about the game was that that
some of the colors were very similar.
They can be difficult to tell apart.
They did reprint or remake a
just
different
the bronze
color.
ones.
Yeah, and we did get that sent out. So I think that's one of those things that you can request if you have the original edition that came out. That is hard to tell.
But even some of the other colors are fairly similar. So the pinks and the purples, they are fairly similar to each other. So this is going to help with that. Also, screen printing is fun and it looks great. And why wouldn't I want that if I'm going to back these maps anyway? And I can see that this is the most, probably the most popular option in terms of backing. We will be backing this one. So backing stamp, 100%. At first, I was just going to get that Paris, London. I feel like now that I've read about the mechanics of all of them, I'm intrigued by all of them enough to probably get the whole set. And to do that, it is like over $100 Australian plus $35 Australian postage.
Insignificant.
It's not insignificant.
It's actually the
for
cost
an expansion
of a whole game. However, hopefully it does expand it enough that it's not just like, oh, a new dimension. It's like, well, no, this is almost feels like new versions of the game.
And if you don't have the base game, you can get that as well as part of a discount for a discounted price. Highly recommend this game. We really enjoy this game, and that's why this is our number one Maglev Metro Expansion 1 maps. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. As always, sorry that we didn't have a top 10, but we know that next week is a big week and there's some exciting campaigns coming up. So it's going to be expensive. So try and hang on to that cash as long as possible. And we've still got a long year ahead. But thank you for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll be back with more content soon. But otherwise, have a great week. Bye for now.
Bye.